Good afternoon, YouTube. Welcome to Taming the Tamaskan. Today we're going to be talking about, are Tamaskans actually a wolfdog? And with that, we'll talk a little bit about their lineage and where they come from. But the short answer is, no, they were never intended to be a wolfdog. So, by this point in time, it's pretty well recognized that Tamaskans can and do sometimes have wolf content within them. And that can be from the Czech Wolfdog side, it can even be from the American Wolf side. I would say the American Wolf side seems to be more rare. But at the early breed origins, Tamaskans were known for the wolf without the wolf content, was kind of what they were coined as. But that ended up not being so true. As time and DNA testing became more prevalent, they realized that there was wolf content within Tamaskan. But as the TDR regulations became a thing, the maximum amount of wolf that a Tamaskan can contain is 30%. Now, that's pretty rare, and as we'll kind of talk about later on, a lot of the Tamaskans will more than likely test for 0%. So why was wolf mixed into the Tamaskan breed? Now, of course, you know, the original intentions of the Tamaskan breed was to look like a wolf without having wolf personality traits. And of course, I think to look like a wolf, it probably had to have some wolf content. Now, it's been talked about through many different websites, and where I've looked, that personality for Tamaskans has always come first over any physical attributes to the Tamaskan line. And that's pretty evident. Almost all the Tamaskans I've experienced, and I've mostly experienced Tamaskans from Ottaway Tamaskan. Molly, Jax, Taylor here, they all have very, very easygoing personalities. And it's really evident that the breed standard put a lot on making sure that wolf characteristics were bred out of their personalities. Now, when I talked about earlier that Tamaskans were not intended to be a wolf dog, a lot of the intentions of actual wolf dogs with Czechoslovakian wolf dogs and sort of some of the other wolf hybridizations that have happened is that they were intended to be a wolf cross for aggression as well as use as a military dog. And that's simply just not something that happened with Tamaskans. Tamaskans were never intended to be a military type dog that was bred specifically for the purposes of warfare or aggression. Now you can see here Taylor is as we go through this video is starting to get very cuddly here, but this is just kind of the I think the average Tamaskan personality. They're very they're very lovable and very good with children, and that's another thing that we'll kind of talk about is with DNA testing being a pretty prevalent thing nowadays. It's common to see Tamaskans on average should be somewhere between 0% wolf content and 15% wolf content. That seems to be the agreed upon amount of wolf. And a lot of this was taken from TDR's, the Register for Tamaskans webpage directly, as well as Selvine Tamaskan has a great page on whether Tamaskans are wolf dogs or not. And I'll throw up some of those on the screen, some quotes, and I'll throw a link to their websites as well. So the highest wolf content Tamaskans right now are from outcrossing. And outcrossing is kind of an important thing for the Tamaskan breed to maintain the wolf look while staying under that 30% maximum wolf content that a Tamaskan can have. And I would say that it's very rare to see a Tamaskan that would have 30% wolf content. Later on the channel, I'll be bringing forward an embark DNA test for Taylor to see if she and her line has any DNA test, or if the DNA test shows any wolf content. Now we'll also get onto another problem with our Tamaskans wolf dogs, which is the DNA testing itself. There's been a lot of concern that DNA testing is not 100% reliable, and it's not because they only test specific markers within a chromosome, through my understanding, and that may not, they may actually have wolf content, but where they tested and where they were looking did not have them. I've seen more often than not that females seem to show lower or no content where the males in the litter will show content. So it's very possible Taylor here could show 0%, but one of her brothers may show 10 to 15%. And I don't know that for sure, but it seems to be kind of a recurring theme throughout the Tamaskan world. So next, I'll move on to, if you live in the United States and maybe you live in a state that does not allow wolf dogs, should you get a Tamaskan? Or maybe you live in a country that doesn't allow wolf dogs. That's kind of the problem with the Tamaskan breed. Early on, there was some deception. There was some not knowing that they were actually wolf mixed in with them. And now you kind of end up with people thinking that they're not wolves at all or have no wolf content. And maybe they live in an area where that doesn't allow wolves, but they actually do. That could be up to your breeder. I think this is an important thing to ask your breeders, which I actually did not. I hadn't really even thought about it. But here, I live in Colorado, which has no laws against having wolf hybrids or wolf dogs, being more technical. You can have them so long as there's actual dog content mixed in with them, and they're not a danger, of course. They haven't attacked anybody, so on and so forth. I think in the state of Colorado, the only place that does not allow wolf dogs is Aurora, Colorado, which very loosely defines what a wolf dog is, and they have no set definition on that anyway. So I'd like to do a video on where wolf dogs are allowed, where they aren't allowed in the United States, but that gets complicated. And Tamaskans are a very low content wolf dog if they can be considered as such anyway. Wolf was only brought into the line to bring their genetic diversity up, so less health problems. They look like a wolf a little bit, but putting an emphasis on their physical trait or on their personalities, being good with families, being good with kids, being good with other dogs, having a little bit less of the pack mentality. So going back to the main point, if you live in a state that may be restricted, or a country that's wolf dog restricted, you really the dots and jumping in. You really need to take a look at your breeder and ask them for an embarked DNA test for both the parents as well as the puppies that you're going to be getting, because there could be questions, or somebody could bring up that, well, hey, that looks like a wolf. You need to prove somehow, some way that it is not actually a wolf dog, or has no wolf content. And I feel as though much of the Tamaskan line more than likely tests 0% for wolf. But if you're getting a litter that has a recent outcrossing that could have a higher wolf content, upwards of 20 to 30%, then that's something that you should ask before you get a Tamaskan. And even if you don't live in a restricted state, it may be important to ask that, because that higher wolf percentage could also have behavioral traits that aren't normal for the Tamaskan line. If you don't want to deal with a dog that has 30% wolf, then you probably shouldn't, because there's different requirements, and they may have different personality traits. Overall, this is just scratching the surface into the Tamaskans being a wolf dog or not. It's controversial, but overall, they are not a wolf dog. They were never intended to be a wolf dog. The DNA that they may have been crossed into is generations old in many cases, and even if you have an outcrossing, the breeders, I think, have been really responsible about keeping the personalities and the personality traits very good for Tamaskans. And Taylor here is an absolute goofball, and never had any concerns about having wolf content, and looking like a wolf versus acting like a wolf is very different. But one thing's for sure, we love Taylor. Taylor's now 2 years old, and she's been pretty great. Her personality overall is a very dominant female. She definitely always has to be the alpha at any dog park. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Comment below if you have a Tamaskan, if you're looking at the Tamaskan breed. Feel free to like and share the videos. We've still just been slowly kind of getting into this, and I've been having fun. I did a little, just doing a little bit of reading and what I did for checking out the breed. I think this is a good conversation to have, because the Tamaskans are awesome, and I think they're going to be gaining a lot of popularity. And anytime Taylor and I go anywhere, it's usually lots of questions about the Tamaskan breed. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.